guys, what's up? This is Ari in Beijing, and today we're going to be talking about how to remember everything you've ever learned via the magic of spaced repetition. And no, that's no exaggeration, it's entirely possible, and in this video I'm going to show you exactly how. So I don't think I've ever talked about this before, but in my spare time, in addition to making these silly videos, I actually teach Chinese. No surprise there. Now, one of the biggest problems I find with my students is vocabulary retention, right? So they'll cram some vocabulary or grammar one week, but a few more weeks go by, and they've seemingly completely forgotten everything they learned. And this probably describes how you've learned things in school as well, right? Now, why is this? Well, it turns out that unless you're actually using the vocabulary that you learn, the brain simply says, hey, I don't need this vocabulary anymore, given that I haven't heard it in a while. Let me throw it in the trash. And that actually kind of makes sense, right? So the brain has evolved over billions of years to be as efficient as possible. And why is your brain going to waste memory cells on stuff you're not actually using? However, it turns out that there's actually a scientifically proven way to hack the brain the way it forgets, to ensure that you can remember whatever you want forever, right? So way back in 1885, the German psychologist Hermann Ebbinghaus found out through numerous studies that have since been verified many times over about the forgetting curve, which is that the brain forgets things in an exponential way. So as time goes on, you lose memories faster and faster. But here's the cool thing. Once you are given a reminder of the material after a little bit of time, the curve kind of restarts and starts to get flatter. Meaning that after your first reminder, it's going to take you longer to forget the material. And repeat this several times over and over, and the curves keep getting flatter. And at some point, they basically become completely flat and enter your memory permanently. Now, the magic of this process is that it's extremely time efficient. So, whereas the first and second review might need to be next to each other by only a couple days, your fourth and fifth review are separated by like 2 months. So rather than spending all that time cramming the night before a test, only to forget the material in a week, you can instead spread that exact same time out over several months, and yet remember that material for far longer. So you might be thinking that this is great and all, but these charts seem really complicated. How the heck do I do this? Well, that's exactly what we have computers for. So my longtime subscribers will know that I talk a lot about Anki on this show, which is a free program that implements precisely this spaced repetition system. But there's other software too, right? Like Memrise, which is a web-based platform that has lots of pre-made courses that, unlike most textbooks, are based around the principles of spaced repetition. And one other thing I think is worth mentioning is that spaced repetition, as good as it is actually just an imitation of the natural language learning process. So, for example, if you're a native speaker of English, you probably know the meaning of the word jacuzzi, despite not having heard it in a long time, most likely. You know, you may have heard it a bunch of times once one summer vacation, and now you don't need to hear it that often for the meaning to be reinforced. So eventually, once you get into the advanced phases of language learning, learning by osmosis from native level media or conversation, that's effectively your spaced repetition, and you really no longer need programs like Anki or Memrise. So let me know in the comments how you've used spaced repetition to reach your own language learning goals, and thanks everyone for watching. And if you like this video, please subscribe, because I've got a lot more like this, and I'll see you next week.